Another dubious milestone for the U.S. debt, and with it, a renewed concern over what it means for our financial future. Hello, and thanks for joining us for this week's Fastest 4 Minutes in Finance. I'm Scott Inman. Well, we get lots of questions and concerns in the client meeting room, and I believe few are as important as what impact will the U.S. debt have on our financial future. And it's unclear. As you may know, the U.S. government debt surpassed $40 trillion for the first time on August 18th, just 4.5 years after it hit $30 trillion for the first time. And it hit $20 trillion less than 9 years ago, meaning the debt has doubled in less than a decade. LPL tells us it's been 25 years since the U.S. government has run at a surplus, meaning we've added to the debt every year for a quarter century. Now, the government pays its debt with Treasury bonds, and the recent increase in interest rates has further intensified the deficit. And while the $40 trillion number is the headline, economists focus more on the debt-to-GDP ratio. In other words, comparing how much debt the government has to the amount of economic production of the country. And that number is 123%, near an all-time high. This chart shows that. The ratio of debt to GDP took a monster leap during the war on terror at the beginning of the century and reached an all-time high during the COVID pandemic. While it has dropped since, it is drifting upward again. The Treasury has recently announced a $4 trillion buyback of longer-dated bonds after the 30-year yield topped 5% recently, which was the highest since 2007. Not a good year to be referencing. So how should investors respond? Well, first, history does tell us that stocks and bonds have fared well despite a widening deficit. It is typically something else that creates a downturn, like the 2008 financial crisis or COVID. So the headline of $40 trillion is not in itself a reason to panic. But the most worrisome part is that nothing is being done to curtail spending. Neither party is doing much about it. It's unlikely we grow ourselves out of the current debt-to-GDP ratio problem, so that leaves tax increases as the most likely lever that is pulled. It is not the answer we really want to have, but we do have to focus on controlling what we can control. First Trust Chief Economist Brian Wesbury once said, "If I told you we were going to play a baseball game, and for the first 6 innings we would play by the rules of baseball that you know, but then in the 7th inning I was going to change the rules, but you don't know how I'm going to change them, would it change how you chose to play the first 6 innings? Of course it wouldn't." He was talking about the U.S. debt. It could change the rules, but we really can't know how. So all we can do is play the game by the rules we know.
Want to become smarter financially in 4 minutes or less? Sign up at fastest4.com to get insights and updates like this delivered to your inbox weekly.